Welcome to the Guardians of Hope podcast, where we bring together parents, nonprofits, legal, and medical experts dedicated to positively impacting children's lives. I'm your host, Cynthia Ramsaran. The thoughts and opinions of my guests are not necessarily my own, so thank you all for joining and sharing. All right, welcome everyone. In an era where technology shapes how we learn and teach, crucial questions emerge. How do we make the most of educational technology while ensuring it serves all learners equitably? What does truly ethical EdTech look like in practice? And how can we design digital learning experiences that prioritize students' well being alongside academic achievement? To guide us through these complex questions, I'm thrilled to welcome Deb Mallon, founder of Mighty Doodle, an AI powered virtual tutor that helps children in grades 1 through 4 learn to read, write, and spell. What makes Deb's perspective particularly valuable is how deeply personal this work is for her. As a mother of a child with dyslexia and attention deficits, her insights aren't just theoretical, they're grounded in lived experience and a passionate commitment to creating technology that truly serves diverse learners. Deb, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this issue on your platform. And just, if I may, I recently, you did a podcast, so I'm a listener and a follower, of course, about motherhood in crisis. And it was particularly impactful for me because it's further complicated by families who struggle with children with neurodivergent brains, beautiful brains. And so thank you for that wonderful podcast.
Thank you.
Others, thank you, Cynthia.
I'm so looking forward to learning more about you and what you do. Sure. And how we can connect the dots as parents and educators. So why don't you talk to us about your journey into ethical EdTech? I know you mentioned that it was influenced by your experience as a parent, and I'd love to have you share your personal experience on what technology and education should accomplish.
Thanks. So as you mentioned, as a mom with a son with sort of the triple issues, we have dyslexia, deficits in attention, and dysgraphia. I quickly realized that tools were not being built for him. They didn't have him in mind. Most of them were made for an average learner. Spoiler alert, there's no such thing as an average learner. They don't exist. But I had a sort of a front row seat to that frustration, but also those really joyful moments where he would light up because it all made sense to him. So it became clear that he would be left out. And so the question became, why are children like my son and others left out? And then the second question was, why is this okay? Because certainly it's not okay. Also, you should know that I never set out to be an EdTech person ever. I was a Luddite. I was really strict about my children having access to screens. And so that all came later. I was focused on helping my child and my students. And then like a surprise party with lots of business books and spreadsheets, I ended up for better or for worse, going from a classroom to a boardroom. So I guess never say never. That's how this whole thing sort of unfolded.
Understood. Thank you for explaining that to us, Deb. Now, the term ethical EdTech can mean different things to different people. How do you define it? And what are the non-negotiable principles that should guide the development of educational tech?
So I think there are 3 priorities to really start with: children's dignity, privacy, and their unlimited potential over profits and vanity metrics. Couple things. So my non-negotiables: evidence-based technology grounded in neuroscience and evidence-based methods. That's a non-negotiable when you are developing things that are reaching children and teaching them in an ethical way, and teaching them correctly the first time. The second thing is sort of inclusion is not by default. So Mighty Doodle was not just designed for children like my son. It was designed for children with other neuro differences and challenges, right? And it wasn't an afterthought. It wasn't just tacked on at the end. It was defined at its core. It was about those children. Another really critical point would be very transparent, what am I trying to say? Transparent data practices. So I'm clear about what's collected. Our entire organization is clear about what is collected, why it's collected, and then how it is used. So we're very public and transparent about that. The last thing I would say is we design, and I think all EdTech should be designed not as a replacement of a person, but rather as a tool and to help engage caregivers, teachers, whoever is working with a child in conjunction with them. This is a tool. It's not a replacement. Also, I guess the last part I want to add in is don't design to fit into a system of other things that are designed. That's not ethical. It's just expensive digital wallpaper adding to a list of things you're creating. Make it meaningful, make it matter.
Yeah, that's great. And it's important that you mentioned that it's a complementary part of the total education experience rather than a replacement. That's so important to note. And when you're looking at the different types of apps and tools that are available, educators and parents often struggle to separate the beneficial tools from digital busy work, if you know what I mean. What framework do you recommend when evaluating whether an EdTech solution is both ethical and effective?
It's a great question. So I would advise any parent to just sort of do a gut check. The three things in my gut check, right, would be, does it align with how children learn best, right? Children first. Second of all, is it joyful? Is it accessible? Can it engage children meaningfully, right? And you'll know that because we do a lot of quality assurance and testing and play testing. So all ethical technology should do that as well. And then does it reflect privacy and avoid, I want to use the word exploitation because it's a strong word, but we're not okay with creepy tracking or manipulative designs. Again, full transparency. What are you tracking? How are you tracking it and why? Otherwise, you're just collecting more data than the value that you're returning, and it's surveillance in a hoodie.
Yeah. And speaking about data, many tools collect data about students' learning behaviors. What ethical guidelines should govern how this data is collected, used, and protected, especially when working with minors?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So here's what I would say. Would you be comfortable sitting at a dinner table with parents and explaining what you're tracking and why? Because if you're not, then don't do it. It's just that simple. Some key principles: minimal data with a maximum purpose. Collect what's only necessary and not anything further. Consent and transparency. We have a rigorous process. There are guidelines, government guidelines, and then of course Apple. They are very strict in how they vet all programming and apps, and we've built more than one with them, and we've seen that firsthand, which I do appreciate. And then the last thing I would say is know that this data belongs to a child, not the platform, not an investor, and not even a school district. It's the child's data, and that child is, protected by their parents, and we have to respect that. There was an interesting study I'd love to quote. I think it was in 2023, the Center of Democracy and Technology, right? The report said that 60% of parents are deeply concerned about how schools use their child's data, and only 40% even understand what they're doing with it.
Wow.
So that's not about just compliance, right? This has to also be about respect,
Mhm.
respect for parents and children.
Absolutely. Now, how can we better prepare teachers to be critical consumers and effective implementers of EdTech rather than just being passive recipients of whatever tools are being purchased by institutions?
Another great question. Thanks, Cynthia. So I will forever believe, assume best intention. So I do. And let me preface this by saying I'm a teacher. I've been an educator for 35 years. Teachers live to teach. We live to teach. And we're so often overwhelmed. And so when we're presenting something to a teacher, we don't just want to throw them a tool. We want them to understand the why so that they know what they're doing and why they're doing it and how it supports their goals in their classroom. Um, I think it's nice when we treat those teachers with respect, not just how to click through it, but how to ask questions about the tool, learn about the tool. It's something they're choosing to use with their precious students. As our parents, I want to know what I'm putting in front of my child. And then something else that's really important is invite your teachers into the design loop, which we did, right? Teachers
Mhm.
are the frontline experts. They are about children first. That's why they chose this profession. Parents were about our children first. It's why we have children to love and protect them. So together, we all need to be critical thinkers and understand why we're making the choices that we do, while also respecting the autonomy of a teacher. Um, they get to choose what works for their students. And same with districts, right? They don't just want a procurement chart, a PDF that sort of shows this is what we use. Bum, 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 bum. You want to make great choices.
Mhm.
If you have a teacher who wants to take their laptop, like the back end portal that we develop, and they want to put it in the garbage can, that's not a user issue, right? That's on us. We failed, which we don't, of course, because we take feedback all the time from the grown-ups, and we're very proud of our teacher and parent portals. So I would just really, again, focus on respect. Uh, yeah, that's my focus here.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, Deb. Thank you. Now, I have one more question for you. For our listeners who are parents and educators, or even EdTech developers themselves, what's one actionable step they can take tomorrow to promote more ethical approaches to technology and education?
Oh, good question again. So I'll prioritize my one because it's near and dear to my heart, which
Mhm.
is I loved having my former students both providing insight into the development of Mighty Doodle and actually in the boardroom. So some of my students are obviously adults, as are my adult sons now. And having them on this mission with us to teach all children how to read, write, and spell using ethical technology has really, it's been an extraordinary journey and so proud of our team.
All right. Deb, where can our listeners learn more about your work?
Well, of course, they can go to mightydoodle.com, our website.
Mhm.
We also have blogs that they can access. And then we offer a free week when you download Mighty Doodle on your iPad or your iPhone. So try it out for a week and watch your child and see how they learn. And once you've downloaded it and they're working for weeks, please check in and have them doing their work next to your work, or if your work is chopping vegetables in the kitchen, have them working and doing Mighty Doodle. Also, feel free to reach out to us. We love to hear from families. We love to hear the success stories. We love all of the feedback. So
Thank you so much for your
thanks.
time and sharing your information with us today.
Thanks for being a part of the mission.
Thank you.